Hello, thanks for joining me for your in-depth monthly horoscope for February for the Sun and the Ascendant. If you have yet to subscribe to my channel, please click or tap on the bell notification symbol. If you'd like to talk to me directly, you can do so on Twitter, or if you'd like a one-to-one consultation, please see the link beneath this video and check out my testimonials. Also, if you want an immediate analysis of what the future holds for you based on your time, date and place of birth, my affordable written reports, you can get 30% off on a special offer. If you get your character analysis too, please see the link beneath this video as well. Hello Pisces, and welcome to your in-depth horoscope forecast for February 2021. The month begins with the Sun, Mercury, Jupiter your ruler, and also Saturn, the planet of structure, all in the very sensitive 12th house of your situation. Now they're augmented on the first day by Venus, the planet of love, but also of attraction, both in terms of relationships and also of money. What does this mean? I think it's an opportunity for you in your journey, your life journey, to take a deeper look at quite a few strands in your situation. Now, of course, the Sun is our overall direction of travel. It's very much about our soul. So the Sun being locked into the part of the journey it goes through before it arrives in your sign is innately very inward. And it could mean that you do have a month where at times, certainly in the first half of the month, where you may prefer to enjoy your own company. That may be necessary at the moment, of course, because of COVID. But of course you can have an inclination for that anyway, but I think that's going to be stronger than it's been for a very long time. You can find yourself in a very healing mode. This can be a wonderful opportunity for you to embrace all sorts of approaches. Any kind of therapeutic activity is just so beautifully poised for you at this time. Now, Venus moving into your 12th solar house suggests that you could become more sentimental, more nostalgic, or more mournful about someone who's no longer in your life. But it also points towards you perhaps thinking about whether it's time to call it quits on a relationship which isn't working. But that's only going to happen if a relationship really doesn't deserve you. Because in the early part of this month, and the 3rd through to the 9th, Venus is going to combine with Saturn. Now, Saturn in the 12th house can mean an opportunity for you to work in an institution over the next couple of years. But you know, it wouldn't be a surprise if you worked in that environment anyway, because your sign generally is the 12th sign. So you have an appreciation of working behind the scenes, helping those that may need support. Now, it could be in a hospital, it could be in a hospice, a care home, it could be in some kind of psychological support role as a social worker, a psychoanalyst, a counsellor, a masseuse or masseur. Whatever it is, your healing energies can come through work, and Saturn's very much to do with work. Now, if you already work in those kind of environments, the impact of COVID may have been quite profound. And perhaps the fact that you have Jupiter here as well means that your natural inclination towards a more spiritual path at times is going to help you to weather some of the buffeting that you may be going through in providing support to others. Because I don't feel there is any other zodiac sign that gives as much as Pisces when you're in the space to do it. But for you, the giving has to be something that's devotional. It's not necessarily based on money. It's not necessarily based on recognition. It's something quite sweet that lies deep within you that some people can find hard to understand. But there's also another side of your nature, which is actually polar opposite to that very sacrificing and caring side of your nature. And that's the side of yourself that can sometimes need to keep a distance, to keep things cool, to not overgive, to actually create the circumstances for you to have the time to think, muse and mull and heal for yourself. And I think this is the phase you're going through this month. The thing that's going to be confusing for you is that Mars and Uranus are in your third solar house, which is very much about quick, fast movement. And it can also be about ideas. It can also be about urgency. It can also be about technology, sharing information quickly. But it can also lead to quite impulsive actions, that combination. And Mars is clashing with the Sun for the first 10 days, suggesting that information that you would prefer to be kept confidential could come out into the open. This is definitely not a month, nor even a year, to be too free and easy with anything of a more tender nature that you may prefer to keep very strictly to yourself or shared amongst those you can really count and rely upon. So I wouldn't change that approach this month, but the weird thing about Mars squaring with the Sun, and also Saturn squaring with Uranus, and also Venus squaring with Uranus, is you may find yourself almost compulsively saying something, sharing something. Even if you're saying to yourself, do not say anything, suddenly you can be saying it. Because the energy of Mars and Uranus together is so electrifying around sharing information, it may be very difficult to stay mum. Conversely, it could work in reverse. Other people may be very happy to share their confidences with you, and that's where you can score very highly this month, particularly in weeks 2 and 3, when Mars forges a gorgeous link to your other ruler of Neptune. Neptune's dreamy, drifty, gorgeous, so ethereal, but sometimes can lack substance, sometimes can be confusing or even deceptive. But in this wonderful sextile with Mars, you can share your ideas, your compassion in a way which is earnest, the Mars position in the third house, but also very sweet. Neptune shaping your individuality to think about how you can help others. So that's gorgeous. But from the 4th to the 10th, Venus, as I mentioned just before, is squaring Uranus. And that can point towards something getting blurted out, some kind of secret around a relationship that you may prefer to be kept confidential. But also, because Venus is in a conjunction with Saturn from day 3 to day 9, you may find out that someone you thought you could rely upon turns out to be actually much less sincere than you thought. A breach of confidence is a definite possibility, or this could be the end point in a relationship. It may not even be a relationship you're in, to be honest. It may be about your devotion to a relationship you used to be in. Because I do feel that Pisces people can hold memories. That's very true of all mutable signs, but I think it's less true of Sagittarians because they're desperate to get into the next exciting new venture. And with Geminis, yeah, they're buzzing around with lots of different ideas because they need to keep stimulated. They're not so reflective. So I think there is a tendency for Pisces people, through your mutability, to be quite locked in the past sometimes. So if there is a relationship that's no longer active in your life, but still is very powerful in your emotions, you may decide to make a decision to cut the chain to that control that it's having over you over those group of days. Conversely, it may be a relationship which just isn't working very well in the here and now. Separations in relationships are very possible with Saturn conjunct Venus in the 12th house, and also Venus squaring Uranus, especially if something gets shared that perhaps is unexpected. So that unexpected sharing could come from you to someone else, but it could come from someone else to you, because the guise of Uranus and Mars in your third house is neighbours, it's siblings, it's everyday chit chat. It could be a text message, an email, an instant message suddenly pops up and confronts you with a side of yourself you're not conscious of, because the 12th house can be our shadow. It's the bit around the side that we don't always want to look at. Maybe that awkward side of our nature. Maybe it's our moodiness. Maybe it's our need to withdraw from people. Maybe it's our anxieties or fears. Perhaps sometimes those fears don't seem very logical. I don't have a great love of driving over big motorway bridges. I have done it in the past, but that's one of mine. So we can all have things like this, and I think they could come more to the fore for you over this month. However, it is also true that Saturn and Uranus are going to be in conflict for all of this month and for the first 6 months and the last 5 weeks of this year. So what does that mean? I think it means try to minimise stress. It's important that if you're mixing and mingling with people within whichever rules exist in the territory, country or state that you live in, it's important that you're not sacrificing that cooler side of your nature. So the devotional side of your nature you know very well, but there's that cooler side of your nature which Saturn's more representative of. If you're letting someone's instant message or demand for your time and attention suddenly sweep you away, that can be very draining, and that can be a pattern, as I said before, for the first 6 months, last 5 weeks of this year. Just be conscious of that. But you know, also on the 11th there's a new moon. Now, 12th house new moons are known to be the least delightful of all new moons, but this one links in a semi-sextile to the deep and transformational but tiny in its physical entity of Pluto, and it suggests that maybe a friend, a confidant, an advisor, someone on the edge of your circle who's detached enough but knows you well enough to know what perhaps your intimate circumstances are about, they could give you a very profound piece of information that can be very helpful to you. Also, Venus and Jupiter, your other ruler, come together. Venus loves being in your sign. Come together in your 12th house. In week 2, you could get a message from someone from your past which thrills you. This is someone who cares about you, and it can be heartfelt, it can be meant well. But on the 18th, the wonderful thing is the sun returns to your sign. This fires you up. You're moving out of all this 12th house introspective energy, and you're coming into the moment. That's followed by Mercury going direct on the 21st. Now, I haven't mentioned Mercury too much. On the 8th, it goes into a conjunction with the Sun, the retreating Mercury, the advancing Sun. But Mercury in the 12th house can lead to anxiety, and it can also lead us to think that no one's talking to us, but meanwhile, on the other side of town, they think we're not talking to them. But we kind of lose a bit of will to be in touch. If you look at my natal chart in terms of the Sun being at 0 degrees Aquarius, my Mercury is in Capricorn in the 12th house, and I can be someone who can be a little bit worrisome, and I can feel a bit detached from others. So I know this one quite well myself. So it's possible that on the 8th you could feel a peak of that sense of isolation, but also it's an opportunity for you to dive down deep and work out a bit more about what makes complex old you tick. But then on the 21st, as Mercury goes direct, you may hear from someone, or you may hear about that appointment at a hospital. You may get a job in the prison service or some kind of support service working behind the scenes which helps others, that absolutely can delight you. But on the 25th, glorious Venus arrives in your sign. It doesn't get much better than this, to be honest, because Venus in your sign likes being there. You know, it just likes it. So connecting with the Sun, you already have Neptune there, so you're going to start to feel much more in the moment, as I said, with the Sun. But Venus also can see you coming out of this chill, deep freeze period, or period of deep being away from others and really not quite knowing whether you're going to ever emerge, well, you will come to the surface, and it's a fabulous moment. But it is true on the 27th, you could be confronted again by others, because the full moon in Virgo, your opposite sign, is where others may feel that you're now becoming a bit too preoccupied with the plans that you've been really hatching while you've gone through that period of seclusion. But that particular full moon links in a positive way with Uranus, the planet of change, of excitement, of electricity, of innovation, of individuality, which is in your sector of everyday communications, and perhaps has made you a bit speedier over the last couple of years, to be honest. So how will this full moon work out? Well, I think if someone does give you an input and saying, look, you need to be aware there are others other than you, which is rich, you would feel, because you can be so self-sacrificing, but that may not be how they see it. They may see that part of your nature, but they may see other parts operating within your overall nature, which are a little bit more to do with you meeting the needs of yourself. That's fine, we all have to do that. So this full moon could challenge you to stay on track with the plans that you've been developing, or it can see your confidence go a little bit if someone gives you a sudden message or piece of opinion which you find challenging, because they could be quite urgent and intense in the way they share it because of the electricity of Uranus. So the first 2 weeks of March and the last couple of days of February could see you a little bit on edge, but I think what the Sun, Venus and Neptune are saying to you is keep the faith. You're reimagining, you're recreating your mode of direction, and your mode of direction is still supported in the long term by the glorious energies of Pluto. It's just that going forwards, I think you are now needing to become much more conscious of giving what you've given to others to yourself. So all that time, all that devotion, all that kindness, the caring that you often give to others, it's becoming manifestly urgent to give that to yourself, to bring healing into your world, to let go of past hurts, to try to come to terms with some past pains and devastations, and also embrace a more genteel part of your nature which is definitely there, but maybe has got a bit bruised and battered by some of the life experiences that you've had or the behaviour that others have inflicted upon you. But as you come to the end of this month, you're like a chrysalis opening up, ready to sparkle forwards, but you have to keep an eye on that shadow side of your nature for the next couple of years. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Please stay safe, take care, good luck, and goodbye.